What's up, everybody? It's Herschel Furrow from High School Top 200, and welcome back to the Monday morning meeting. I'm Herschel Furrow and I run High School Top 200, and it's good to be back here again for another week of Fresh 15 Rugby. If you're not on my socials, jump on High School Top 200 on Facebook, and also HS Top 200 on my Instagram and also on my TikTok as well. There's also hstop200.com, which is the website, and that's where you find all of the rankings as well as games and articles, things like that. Just some thoughts and opinions that I have that I write down. But yeah, go and have a look. It's $5 per month for the subscription. This is how I fund everything that I try and do anyway, and I'm real thankful and grateful for all my the supporters and followers that I have on this page that are really interested in Fresh 15 Rugby, and I try and do my best just to give as much information as I have to everybody else that is out there, wondering about how their team is doing, how their son's team is doing, how their grandchild's team is doing, and all that kind of stuff. And so, that's what I push myself to do on this page, is to give as much information and content as possible, talking about all these boys that put in such hard work every single week to, try and win on the field for the reasons of why they play this game. This week has been a pretty big week, I guess, because we're coming up to the halfway point. I think that's what it is with everybody, is that it's pretty much the halfway point of everybody's season. And so I feel like it's one of those times where you kind of figure out what your team is, and if you haven't figured out by now what your team is, then to be honest, it's one of those things where you're like starting to panic a bit, because you don't know how your team is going to react to certain situations. And I think as first 15 players, when you have boys teenage age, a lot of it is unpredictable. For example, because I do my rankings, I do it based upon what a team produces and what they win and who they win against and all that kind of stuff. But I also know that when the ball comes around, you can pretty much expect to lose that week. And because the boys, even though they train this hard, and even though they put so much time into this team, when the ball comes around, boys are just not focused. They don't care that much. There's going to be a few boys that do, but majority of them don't. Majority of them are not that focused on the game ahead. They know what they're going to do. They know what they want to do. They know their plays. They know all that kind of stuff. But then the feeling sometimes not into it. For example, right? If you've got a school ball on, I think most of the boys are thinking about the photos. They're thinking about their fit. They're thinking about their shoes. They're thinking about their entry into the ball. They're more interested in their lady, what the pre-ball and after ball is, all that kind of stuff. And all of that has to be done without a black eye, or has to be done without a leg brace, crutches, or a new scar on their head. All those kind of things come into play and into factor when you have these kind of events. And so, the boys are not going to go into the ruck, full steam like they would usually. The boys are not going to clean out as they would usually. They're not going to run the ball as hard as they usually do. They're not going to do all these kind of things that you're pretty much used to seeing them do. They're just not going to do it. And so, all of that comes around those kind of moments, and that's how unpredictable First 15 is. Also, when it's unpredictable, when things social media wise don't go to plan for them. Likes and shares and comments are always a big deal to kids that we don't actually care about as adults. Like, even for myself, like, I really don't care about likes and followings and stuff. I do that only because that's what you're supposed to do. I couldn't care less. Like, I would rather have 1,000 people that watch me and that follow my content week to week than rather than have 7,000 people that just occasionally come across, my Facebook page or Instagram or TikTok. I'd rather just have the core that want to follow, because that's what I do this for. Where kids, on the other hand, they want people that they don't even know to support them. That they want someone to like their comment that doesn't even know them, because they like the number. And like, sometimes if that doesn't go along with what they plan, their games and their schooling is really tipped over. So all these kind of things matter in this part of the season. All these things are going to start mattering. Exams are going to start mattering, girlfriends, relationships, all that kind of thing start mattering. So if you don't know what your team is right now, and all these events and how your team's going to react to these events, if you don't fully have a grasp on what that is, as a coaching staff, and even as like a captain and vice captain and all the leadership groups, it's like you've got some problems. I mean, like, if you look at someone like in the 1A, where they have Kings leading St. Kinnigan's is next. I think it's Sacred and Liston. Then it's St. Peter's, Grammar, Calston. I think that's what the order is. Now, someone like Liston is got to be the one that's got to be most excited, because they haven't been to this point before. They've never been to a point where they're now fourth on the list. I think their next game is going... their next game is someone hard. Like St. Kinnigan's or Kings, someone like that. And Liston College have got to know, and I think most teams have got to know, is that when they take a loss, there's a lot of positives that can come from a loss. Like, positives in terms of especially when you lose to a good team. Like, I can't remember which one they have. It might be Kings, but let's say Liston loses this week coming. Losing with a good score is great. Like, losing with a chance to win when you're supposed to be the underdogs is also like a really good sign of what your team is. And keeping a score close and keeping a game tight is also a good thing, because after that you know what your team is made of and what that next step is. And Liston have done so good this year that I believe that they have a team that can stay within that top four, and they can stay within that running and can stay with the bigger teams. And this program that they've built and kept building, I guess, in the West there, really has a lot of positives for even next year. And so, like, I think that this team is going to be one of those that has got to, like, take comfort in what they're building. I mean, like, if you look at like another team, like even just in the 1A with AO, and 1B with Aotearoa College winning against McLean's yesterday. Aotearoa College have probably got one of the biggest forward packs in the country. Their forward pack is bigger than most. They're bigger than Hamilton Boys. They've got a bigger forward pack than Palmy Boys. They've got a bigger forward pack than... they're like on match with King's College of biggest, even with St. Kinnigan's. Aotearoa College have a bigger forward pack than a Wellington College or even Christchurch Boys. They've got a bigger pack than them, and guys that are mobile. And the problem is, and this is what I saw yesterday, is that, like, and most of these South Auckland teams are like this. is that they are just boys that don't know exactly what they have. Aotearoa should easily be a 1A team. They should easily get back to where they are. Otahuhu College is the same. But these are like the points of the year, and these are the teams that don't know what they have, and at this point of the season, I hope that like Aotearoa at this point of the season realize what that win yesterday meant, you know, and what the win for them could mean for their team for the next few games that they're playing. And I think they were sitting like third in Pool B, and then I think when they put it together, they should be in a good, comfortable position. And like, and they're who was it? Chanel who went off injured. Him and Jacob, they both went off injured. Number 8s, both captains, they both went off injured. But the majority of the teams that stayed on, like Aotearoa was just so dominant and got better as the game got on. And Aotearoa have got to kind of ride out this confidence from this game and believe in themselves as a proper contending team. And I hope that they figured it out in this game yesterday, and in this game on Saturday, if they are willing to put in that next extra effort to win the 1B, because they have that look of a team. And like whenever Chanel gets back from his look like an ankle injury, and hopefully he does come back, this team could win the 1B. Not just because of their size, because of like the way that they won yesterday. And like if you look at all the snippets that I took, the forward pack for McLean just couldn't handle them. But that's not like a McLean's problem. That's like a 1B problem, because the halfback, man, I'm forgetting his name. The way he controlled the game, him in the first 5, the way that they controlled the game was that they kept it in the forwards until they needed to get the ball out. And having the twins in second 5 and center is what you actually want them to do, and really want them just to crash ball back into the traffic and keep it centered on the forwards, so that once the forwards come to a standstill, that second 5 center combination can start running their lines and then bringing it back to where they can restart it again in the forward pack after they clean out, and just keep it there, because they were just too big and strong. They were just too big and strong. And I've seen Howick play, and I don't think that Howick has the forwards physically to match up with Aotearoa, but they have the speed and ball skills to outmatch Aotearoa. Even though Aotearoa have lost some games this year, I hope that they figured out that, this is the route we should be taking, is in the forward pack. Keeping it tight, keeping your clean outs diligent, and not just waiting to run the ball. Like sometimes, like most of the team does that. Most teams do that anyway. Like boys get too caught up in like, I want to run this ball, instead of like, hey, let's just clean out and make sure that our next guy has our halfback has a clean ball to work with, and that our next runners get some front foot ball just from our good clean out, and making sure the clean out is fast. You know, so it's like security first in the ball, then let's take care of the next stuff. And Aotearoa's plan should just be simple. It should be simple. Like the number 3, who I thought had a massive game yesterday, on Saturday, was one of their key players. Oh, actually, both of them. And the other prop, the number 1, who had the long hair. Both of them look like they're about 6'4", both of them. But they were both mobile and moving, and you know, and it's just one of those frustrating things. Like I look at it, and I know a lot of coaches do too. And they just look at South Auckland teams, it's like, man, if you guys just got fit and committed, none of these other schools would be able to handle any of them. And like saying that, everyone, like most islanders will take pride and go, yeah, if we got fit. It's like, well, how about you guys just talk in the off season? Everyone that's returning back the next year, or the year 12s and the year 11s, and going, hey, we're going to start at 5 o'clock in the morning and go for runs. So, like, let's all just meet here and just start building from there. It's not like well, let's just all meet at the field here and take it upon yourselves. Like, sometimes, like, you don't have to have coaches around to commit yourself. And like, even if you're first team, even if you're a rugby league player who's playing rugby league and you're playing rugby just out of, that's what your school plays, like, use it. Use the rugby to get fit, and use rugby to sharpen your senses of what you're doing, so that when you take it back to league, and if your dream is in the NRL, just do it. Aotearoa is one of those teams. Like, Aotearoa can start now and start building now with their fitness. Like, there's no such thing as it's like, oh, your fitness is only done. It's just like, nah, you can still build that over, like, match fitness throughout the year. And Aotearoa is one of those teams, and like, even Otahu is like one of those teams as well, where they've got such a young team that whole team could just commit themselves in November and say, let's run here every, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and let's all meet here in the mornings. Commit to it, be a team from there, and just build it into the next year. Like, things like that. But I mean, I think that, like, getting to know what your team is by now, if you don't know what it is by now, then I think there's, it can be a bit of a problem. It can be a problem. Like, there's, especially with the 1B, like, I have this thing with the 1B where I feel like Auckland doesn't take care of 1B players. I have this feeling where Auckland neglects them and just goes, well, if you guys make it through, then you make it through. But if you guys don't, then you don't. I have been sent so many 1B games to watch. I've been to 1B games this year. And there's a bunch of these players that are in the 1B that all they need is 1A competition to play against, for them to get better and to be better than 1A players, and be better than some of the guys that I have ranked high. Like, some of these guys are in the 1B, they just don't get the talent to play against. And then, like, in saying that, there's a big discouragement of moving schools, but it's like, well, how is this kid supposed to get there if you can't allow him to change his situation and opportunity, if you don't allow him to move schools? I mean, like, I would help any 1B kid who's year 11 this year or year 12 come to, like, a CNI team or a Super 8 team, because I know that if they go to a 1A school and change schools, they're sitting down for 6 weeks. They're sitting down. They're not even getting any opportunity to even get better. So they got half of a season. Then you got to calculate the fact that you've got, like, injuries and stuff that pop up. But for me, it's just like, I think the 1B needs a lot more attention, needs a lot more scouting and figuring out who these guys are that shouldn't even be in the 1B playing 1B competition, and they should be in the 1A playing 1A competition. Now, I don't know what that is, but ideally, like, in a perfect kind of world situation, in my mind, I wouldn't mind a 1B team, like a 1B rep team, playing in the 1A competition as a combined one. Like, I would take, and I know this depletes, not depletes, but I know it takes away from some of the 1B or 1B teams. But I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking about players. I'm not thinking about the school. I'm thinking about the player. Like, I'm thinking about the player that has a shot to be better, and he just needs better competition to play against. And I would select a team at the beginning of, or at the end of this year, and go, you guys who are year 12s and year 11s, you guys will be part of this 1B team, the 1B combined team that will play in the 1A competition. And that's purely just for opportunities to be noticed and selected into the under 18 Blues, because I think the under 18 Blues don't really pay that much attention to the 1A unless you're like an all-out superstar that's, you know, like someone like Lecker, who was playing for Southern Cross. If he got, you know, they would have seen him in the Blues and asked him to come over, but he would have been like, nah, I'm staying with League. But there's guys in the 1B that should be in the 1A, in that 1A bracket of talent, but they're just not because they're playing that. So for me, I would pick something like a combined 1B squad of players from different teams, and then put them into the 1A competition and play as a combined team, just so that they can get the reps, they can get the games every single week. And I think that team would probably win. I think if you got like a 1B mixture of the best players, they'll win the competition pretty much every single year. Just because that's how good they are. They're just not in that situation where they can be in the 1B. But there's like a bunch of guys like Jacob and Chanel are just two of them. Peter from Otahu is another one. Like, you know, what's his name? I mean, there's like 4 guys from Howard that could do it. Junior from Tangaroa can be in there. Even the prop, I'm spacing on his name. Like, he's another one. There's a few guys from Avondale that I would have in there too. You know, there's all these guys. Like, there's a guy from One Tree Hill when I went and saw them play preseason, who was playing lock number 8, and I would straight away put him in like an easy fielding or St. John's Hamilton team or St. Peter's Cambridge team, or even send him to Wesley. Like, if I was 1B and I thought, oh, the 1A's not paying attention to me, or the Blues are not paying attention to me, I would just enroll into Wesley and go, oh, I'll go to the Chiefs. I'll go to Wesley, I'll put on that uniform, they'll look at me different because I've got a Wesley uniform on, and now I've got options between the Blues and the Chiefs. That's not something that like most people don't think about. You know, you think about, like for me as well, it's just like, if that was the case, I'll just go to Rewa. If I went to Rewa, Chiefs will look at me, the Blues will look at me and go, hey, aren't you supposed to be here? Like, to me, if I was the Chiefs, I'll be chasing after Junior, because Junior went from Junior Slade, Lang Slade, he went from Manurewa to St. Kennigan's. Now, the Chiefs probably don't even know this because they don't do their homework most of the time. I'll be like, no, Junior, you come back here. We'll put you into the Chiefs development straight away. We need 6'8", 6'9" guys who are locks, and he's like overly physical, overly talented. And he's got a younger brother who's already 6'7", who's only year 10. Like, all these kind of things, like, there's talent that can be different when you put them in a different uniform. People just look at them different. It's just the way that it is. I try and not be like that. Of course, I'm like that sometimes, is where I'll see them in a uniform and go, is he a bit better? And I always have to question and ask myself. That's why I listen to a lot of you guys who go, oh, maybe you should watch them like this, or maybe you should do this, or can I talk to you about this player? And then I'll see them from a different angle if you give me that different angle to go. Sometimes people will just go, oh, he goes to Kings, so he must be one of the best. I was like, no. He's just wearing a Kings jersey, or he's just in a Christchurch Boys jersey. Oh no, he's just got, you know, the Otago hoops on. That's why it looks like that. Like but you can get guys from like Dunstan who are like really good. You know, you can get guys from, you know, Central Southland College who are really good. You know, like, there's guys all over the place. Wakatupu's another one. You can go to Tokoroa High School is another one you can go. There's a kid, Sam Solo, who's down here at Fraser High School. They don't even have a good rugby team. But he is a massive, massive player at number 8. Like, I would recruit him 100%. And he's just sitting here at Fraser High School in Hamilton. You know, it's just like one of those guys. But, I mean, it's just the way it is. You know, I guess it's just what it is. 1Bs definitely need some more support and need some more eyes on that competition, because of how much talent they have in there. And it's just like misguided. It's almost like a misguided mindset. You have to change the mindset of all those boys that go to those schools and the teams that they all play for. And then that's like coming through the grades. It's not like a first 15 problem. It's a a school problem as well as a rugby program from under 14s. Like, hey, we can build this. Wait till you guys get to first 15. You guys can build from now to first 15. Tell those same boys in under 14s and under 15s, hey, in under 15s, you guys can get to first 15 if you like this. Start building from here, and then changing that mindset all the way through. It's just one of those things, and it's not easy. I'm not saying it like it's easy. It's not. It's not. There's so many dynamics in this which can, hold things up for any team. Any team. Yeah. Anyways, I think a lot of people want to hear why that number 1 pick changed. And it's my fault. I changed it on Thursday. I thought I put out an email saying, a post saying that it's changed. But obviously I didn't. So Siale Pahulu he was number 2, but he just switched over. And both of these guys, both of them are very similar players. Very similar players. But I think Siale is playing better right now. And Ollie's just not. And that's kind of what it is. Hamilton Boys is having like a real problem right now. And it's not easy. Like I don't put it on, on the new coaching staff at all, because it's hard coming from what that big changeover has been for Hamilton Boys. So the team as a whole in Hamilton Boys is not doing great. But in terms of Ollie is not producing to me the way that he's produced as a year 11 and a year 12. And it's not that he's not good anymore. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that Siale Paul is playing better. St. Kennigan's is doing better because of the result of what he's doing, which is better. Like, there's plays that Siale has made. I've seen St. Kennigan's 5 times already this year. And the way that Siale has played, and I've said this before because I've had chats to other people about why I think St. Kennigan's is second to Kings, and to me the reason is the backline. I think the forwards in Kings cancel out the forwards in St. Kennigan's, but where the difference comes from is the backs, and the backs are definitely better at Kings than they are at St. Kennigan's. The reason why St. Kennigan's is holding is because of Siale. Siale has a 2 year 11s, a year 12, or 2 year 12s, and 1 year 13 in that backline. He's the only one starter that's really back from last year, the consistent starter. And so, like, he's got a lot more to work with. And the reason why I think that they're working it out is because he's caught these guys up, taking all the pressure off everybody else so that they can figure out where they belong in this team. And then he's kind of put it on himself to go, just give me the ball. I'll produce from here, and whatever you guys can play off me, then fine. But as long as you guys don't have to do it, like, I see it like that. I see it the way that he plays like that, and he does so much work, and he can easily score a lot of these tries by himself. But he's been able to set up more on his teammates to be able to be more comfortable in the role that they're at, and like, he's the only one that's got that experience. To me, all of that has been taken into account when I've like kind of looked at it and gone, I just think he's better now. I think he's playing better now, and he's starting to look a lot better now with what he's doing. Ollie's combination with Maxwell is probably one of the best in the country, and they just have to figure it out. And I think sometimes there's a thing with like too much firepower. I mean, like, when you look at Hamilton Boys and you got Maxwell, Ollie, Carson, Cullen, and Nathan, all in their back line, who all have like just attacking talent. I think they got to figure out how they're going to share that around. And the first thing to me is Cullen and Carson take a step back. Let Maxwell, Ollie and Nathan take the lead, and then the other two back it up from there. And then Carson and Cullen have done pretty good to do that already. Nathan just has to sort out where he fits into these attacking things, and because most of the stuff that we're seeing from Nathan is based off the fact that the ball has been kicked down. He's just sort of surveyed a bit and then found this gap, and then he's taken it, and then that's where all his highlights come from, which is great to see because that's kind of what they have him there for. But when you do then need these plays to work out in timing, sometimes I think their timing's off. Sometimes I think their timing is off in terms of they're playing more to their instincts rather than to what the play is designed for, and sometimes it could cut off that, cut off that timing. But as a whole, I think that they just need to, the Hamilton boys just need to figure something out that's going to be sustainable for that backline. And it's not just the backline that's really one. I'm just talking about the backline, and in terms of Ollie, and how he fits in too. I mean, if that's the case, let's just give him some one-off runs and just get it out of him, get all his frustration out and stuff like that, and just play it on from there. But Siale, that's the reason why Siale is number 1 and Ollie's number 2 now. Jacob's still at 3. Alani Whakawā's still at 4. Tasi Ituale is still at 5, and he's got to be like one of the best wingers, eh? Just all-out wingers. But the reason why I like him is that he's not a fullback that's been put on the wing, and he's not a centre that's been put on the wing. Because sometimes when you see New Zealand secondary schools, sometimes you're looking and you go, oh, okay, he used to play centre for Napier and now he's on the wing, or he used to be a centre at Fielding and now he's on the wing. Not that, where Tussy is just a winger, but he has skills that translate to fullback, and he has skills that you can put him in centre, but he's a winger. And then the way that he plays, just as an all-out winger, I just think he's I've never seen him have a bad game this year. And because of the coverage that's coming out of that Christchurch competition, I've been able to see every game of theirs this year, and every single game he's just produced, and it's a massive reason why they're on a winning streak, and the way that they're winning. And I don't mean winning in points on the board. I mean winning as in every single game. They're just battling every single game. They're just getting better every single game. That's what I like about this, and just the way that Tussie's been playing. That's why I think being number 5 on the rankings is just justified as a winger. Rupeni Ravi Yawa's back on the list. I thought Rupeni was 18 turning 19. I didn't know he was already he was 17 turning 18. But that's why he wasn't on the list. I remember, must have been about 6 or 7 years back, when there was some 18 turning 19-year-olds, and I think there was about 3 of them on the list on my rankings that I had to decide, this has to be an under 18 page. This has to be an under 18 ranking. And so I decided from then, if the players that are 18 turning 19 that year, that they wouldn't be ranked. And I thought he was one of them. Then I got told, and I got shown proper proof that he wasn't. And I was thinking, okay, cool, I can put him back on. So that's why he lands at number 6. So Johan Shumkul is another one at open side. I just want to, man, if you haven't seen this kid play, just go and watch him play. He's just 100% all the time. He's just 100% all the time, and he does it both on offense and defense, which is so impressive to me. He's pretty much he's like Anton Segner. He's kind of like Isaiah Papali'i, Ollie Mathis, those kind of guys who are all offensive, both played both of the sides of the ball open sides, and he's kind of like that's what he reminds me of, is like that kind of player. Because like Mitchell Carpick, who was on my first rank, and he was like that too. Came out of Kings, he was like that too. Just both sides, just really, really strong on both sides. And Johan, to me, saves them a lot. Like, he's made so many big plays this year as an open side by making the tackle, getting a turnover, and then just running it straight forward and just to gain as much meters as they can, so that at least they can play off, a front going ball. And so, him being there is just massive. Nico Stanley, I want to talk about Nico, man. Like, being at the game at Sacred, I thought Sacred should have won as well. I thought they were the better team. And they took their moments. Cruz had a massive game as well. But Nico and Bastion, they're going to be the best second five centre pairing next year. And what I was getting frustrated at is I didn't understand why Grammar weren't using him to run the ball and make plays. That whole first half, both him and Bastion weren't really touching the ball. They were used as decoys and as dummy runners. And like, I understand that, like, sometimes, but most of their plays, they were just run as dummies or decoys or playmakers, rather than showing. Like, there was times where, like, I would see Nico run the ball to the line and slide it across, but he wasn't sliding it to Bastion. It was like to the fullback coming around, or to the winger coming around, or to, like, I was saying, well, why wouldn't you just build plays just for those two? For those two to connect. I mean, they're your Ferraris in the back line. Why wouldn't you just give it to them? Why would you just use them as dummies the whole first half? Like, at least get Nico to run a couple to the line. Just straightforward run. Just to get him into the game, get him to feel the hit, get him to feel this pressure, and then let him play off that, and then run some things different. Just some raw, just caveman running to the line. And get him and Bastion in that feeling of the game. They didn't even do that. They didn't even give them that opportunity, because for the whole first half, I can't even remember. Like, I hope I get sent the game, but I don't even remember those two really making an impact in the first half based on their abilities and their talents. I saw Nico hit the line a few times, and that was just off clean-up play. Bastion, I think, got it once on the outside on already a collapsed play. Kind of about it for the first half. The second half was a lot better for Nico, but I don't know, man. Like, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm missing what their real intention was for the team. But I just feel like, as your two main guys in your backline, why wouldn't you give them the ball a lot more? Why wouldn't you have the ball in their hands and them dictating how this play goes? And why wouldn't one play off the other? That's what I didn't understand. And maybe I'm missing it, and someone has to explain it to me that, like, differently. But if I had Nico and Bastion, I'll just give them plays every single time. They're touching the ball most of the time throughout that every single play, and they're getting enough breaks, and for them to actually feel their effect on the game. Like I would just give it to them all the time, and I didn't feel like Sione, who was on the other side, he got the ball so many times and made huge effects on the game so many times, and I thought that's what I was going to go see out of both of these fellas was that. I mean, Logan, who's such, he just does everything. Him and Lungi is the same kind of thing. Like even Connor played really good, their hooker, but Logan just does everything. And then the number 6, I forgot his name. Shoot, too many names. But Logan was also, he just did everything. I thought he was so good. And every time the ball was in the forwards, he always had something to do with it. I just thought it would translate like that to the backs. But I mean, I might just be missing. Might be just me. I might just be missing it. JJ's back. Yosefu from Hastings. He's sitting at number 8, and do I want to talk about what it was? I think in that last 7 minutes, Hastings, there were 2 calls that were pretty massive and pretty obvious. And what I heard from it is that the ref didn't want to listen to the touch. That's what I heard from people that were standing on the sideline behind the touchy, and what I heard from some players on both sides. And the players didn't have an effect on this game towards that end. It was based on these calls. And in such a good game by 2 teams fighting for that big W that they both needed, those 2 calls really changed the feeling of how that whole game was. And it definitely didn't feel fair, but it just didn't feel right, is what it was. It just didn't feel right. Because they weren't like, calls made that it's like, oh, in terms of interpretation, you could say that, blah, blah, blah. It was like, no, he dropped the ball. And you just kept it going. And the other one was like, no, his hand grabbed the ball and pulled, like, it's obvious. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch the game on Fakada Moldy. Hastings and Rotorua. Mean game. Real mean game. Everybody was good. Everybody was good in that game. I loved watching that game. It's probably one of the best games I've seen this year. But JJ has definitely stood out again. And him and Issy have as a front row, and this forward pack that they have is because of those 2. And yeah, I hope that they both have proven themselves, because like JJ's run game and even his defense has been massive this year too. And so him and Issy as well, like Issy Karanavalu is both of them have made these massive steps forward for this team. And that's the reason why Hastings is just that good. That's why they're such a good team. Penny Havea, the 3rd guy in this top 10 ranking from fielding. And like Alani and Penny played made New Zealand secondary schools last year. And Rupeni, I think, should probably make it this year too. And like, we've got to also understand that just because you made it one year doesn't mean that you're going to make it the next year. Because remember, I've said this before, selectors are different. You're not getting the same selectors from last year to the selectors that you have this year. So they might just see the players differently. So all you guys that made New Zealand secondary schools last year, don't just assume that you're going to do it this year. Because remember, you still got to play to the fact that your selectors are different. What they're asking is going to be different too. What they're asking of the players is going to be different as well. So don't just take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. I was like, I made it last year, I should be in this year. Just keep that in mind as you're still playing, that your selectors are going to be different. What they're asking is going to be different too. And this is why I have like a thing with, how New Zealand secondary schools does done. I have a real, I just don't feel good about the way that they do it. Anyways, Alapati. Alapati is, I think, the best first five. Probably him and Jamie. They would be my picks for first five. And Alapati's just so good. But I mean, I don't know what his allegiance is to, because I know that he's with the Warriors. But we've seen guys play for the Warriors and make New Zealand secondary schools and then either go back to Warriors or stay with New Zealand. So we don't know, but I think Alapati, Soangias, who I'm talking about from St. Peter's, Cambridge, either first five or second five, he's just so sharp. He's just such a smart player, so controlled, and even with his kicking game is so good. And like he's such a hard runner to bring down. Like if he just wanted to attack from first five, like I would just give him more freedom to. It's like, yeah, bro, just run the ball if you want, man. Especially if you're in New Zealand secondary schools and you have him there and go, oh, cool. It's like, well, you're gonna have either Nico or or you're gonna have Ollie Gurin and Sialia Pahulu outside of you. It's just like, yeah, like run the ball at the line, challenge the line, and then have those guys run off you. Especially if you have someone like, Rupini on your inside, coming off of number 8, or if you have Johan on your inside as New Zealand secondary schools, and you had like guys like that coming off you, but bro, yeah. I mean, imagine Travis Finley at number 8, running off the first five, those kind of guys. Jake running off first five, who's Alapati first. Man, that's kind of what you want. Remember, Alapati's like a year younger. He's a young year 13. And so he only turns 17 this year. He doesn't turn 18. It's just one of those ones. And like I like the look of him at a first five if it was New Zealand secondary schools. I'll 100% have him. Israeli at number 12. Karanavalu from Hastings Boys as a prop. And he is my number one prop right now. And who I would probably pick if I was picking New Zealand secondary schools. He would be like the main guy for me as a prop. Michael Milne, who I've still got listed as halfback, even though he's playing first five for Kings. And I think he's still better at halfback. And I think he's there as a necessity for first five at Kings. Because they've got D'Angelo Tupou, I think his name is. He's the halfback. Real sharp player too. And I just think that he's there, Marco's there at first five just out of, necessity. And so I think if we went back, he would be my halfback. I would put him back to halfback. It would be the same thing. Like I remember like Jimmy Gopeth and who was it? Piriwipu was like that and first 15 rugby, where they were both playing out of position as halfbacks the first five, just because they just were talented at everything. He's kind of like that. Liam Vanderheyden is 14 from Hamilton Boys. He's dropped off, and I remain the same in what I say about him. He's big, he's strong, he's just not aggressive. I just look at it and say he's just not aggressive. And it sucks too, because I just want him to just monster through everybody. And you get shades of that sometimes, but it's not always like consistent the way that, I just say it the way that I like it because I'm talking. This is my opinion. But That's what I would like from. I would like that kind of thing. Travis Finlay from Westlake, from number 8 from Westlake. He's number 15. Just an all-out ball runner, 100% guy. You know, just gives everything. Jake Hutchings is the same, 100% guy. I would like to see Travis and Jake on the same team as like an 8. Jake at 6. Or 7. Actually, like these three, 15, 16, and 17. So Travis Finlay from Westlake Boys at number 8. I would put Jake Hutchings at open side, who's from Rotorua. And if you haven't seen Blake Robinson from Christchurch Boys at number 6, like he is a legitimate line-out option. He's not just there for convenience, he's a legitimate line-out option. And the way he runs and defends, like he is such a good player. Like him, and it's hard too. Like if you think about it, like and it's every year is kind of like this. You have just so many good loose forwards that you know that selectors. I would like to sit in those selectors discussions when it comes to loose forwards, because it does depend on what you're asking for, right? Like just to go. Just from this list, right? Okay, we'll go Daniel Lawrence, who's at 23 as open side from this. At one point was my top open side. So if you take Daniel Lawrence, you take Cruz Simpson, who's at number 20. You take Alex Arnold, who's at number 18 from Hamilton Boys. You got Blake Robinson, Jake Hutchings, Travis Finlay. You got Johan Schumkel, and then you've got Rupeni. You can only pick 4 of those guys. And these are just the guys that I like. Let alone the guys that New Zealand secondary schools will have in mind, which is going to be different from mine. But when you take only 4 of those guys, that's really going to be an open discussion of what do we need, but you know, what would we like to play, rather than who was the best player or who are the best players, you know? Because like even if I just run down the list of even the guys that I missed, and I only stopped it at Daniel because I was just looking at the list on the way down. But then down from that, I mean, Logan Platt could play at number 6. You still got Tianaki Rogers, who's the number 8, who's year 12, and at Rotorua Boys. You still got Elijah Solomona from Silverstream, who's also on number 8, but who I think is better at open side. Actually, seeing him at open side this year, I've actually convinced that he's a better open side. Then you got Alex Palazzo, who's at number 8 at Palmy Boys, who slipped a little bit. He's got injuries, and he's been slipping, but I still think he's a talent. He's still a talented guy. Arlo Leith is another one from Westlake Boys, who's at open side. Then you got Tom Perkins, who's number 8, who can also play lock and who can also play blindside, and he's the captain of Nelson College. He's another one that I would seriously put in that discussion as well. I would also put Rico Nicklin from Marlborough Boys. He's another one that I would also put in, and this is down to number 44 of my rankings. And you still got Bishop Neal, who will probably be a Warrior, so he probably won't be considered. But then Jay McQuaid, who is obviously small, but his work rate is different. His effect on the game is different. Now, if I was Jay, I'll go, just give me an opportunity in the Chiefs under 18s, and then I'll show you what I can do. I'll show you that against the best talent, I'm fine. Don't look at this exterior of I'm short and I'm small. But also with Jay, I would actually tell him to go to hooker and play league. And I would definitely pick him up as a hooker in league. Because he's just such a talented guy as well. But from a rugby standpoint, and what I know about New Zealand rugby is that they're not going to pick him just based on his size. I've done this to a bunch of guys from first thing rugby that just size-wise, they're just like, oh, we're not looking for that. Not that you're not good, but we're just not looking for that. He's going to be stuck into that. He's going to be stuck in that position. So for me, I would look at him and go, hey, if you go play rugby league and you play hooker, I have a feeling that they'll be like more receptive to that. But he's another one that you should really look out for. Harper Mills is another one who's the open side from St. John's. He's also a young year 13. Doesn't turn 18 till next year. Zacadius is another one, Shorga, who's still year 12, but is still in that bracket of making it, and who's such a good player. Jacob Eli as well from McLean's, who I only saw for a little bit, got injured, but I saw for a little bit live, but I've already seen him on tape a bunch of times anyway. And it's exactly what you wanted, Solomon Tuipupo is another one from Westlake Boys. There's just so much talent here, and it'd be interesting just to see what they want from your open side or from your loose forward selections when it comes to New Zealand secondary schools. This is why I think it's important that you bring back the tournament of the Blues, Chiefs, Hurricanes, Crusaders and Highlanders all together, all for a tournament throughout a 2-week period, and just to pick it from there, pick New Zealanders from there, and just have them all go against each other so that we know definitely this is what they look like against each other. So there's no kind of like pushback or anything like that. Alright. Anyways, I talk too long. That's just what I do. Love you all. Later, ball.